8.8 is looking at geographical area measurements, and the objective is to discuss how geographical areas are measured and to provide practice using division to compare two quantities with like units. So for mental math and reflexes, let's look at rounding. Remember when we round to always underline the place value that we're rounding to. So the first one says we're rounding to the hundreds place. So I would put a little line under the hundreds place, draw my arrow, so I remember that it is the place value to the right of it that decides whether I leave that number alone or round it up. So since it's 5 or more, the 6 is telling me to round that up. So my answer would be 440,800. Again, the next one is asking me to go to the nearest 10,000s place. So I would under the 10,000s place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Since it only has a 0 next to it, and that is my number that decides whether I round that up or round that or leave it alone, I know that that 0 will tell me to leave it alone. So it'll be 440,000. Notice that every time we're rounding, all the numbers after the place value that they're asking you to round to become zeros. And on the 100,000, again, you should underline the 100,000 place value. The number next to it tells me what I should be doing with that. And since 4 is less than 5, that's telling me that I should let it alone, so it'll be 400,000. Again, over to the right, we're looking at new numbers. Our number is 1,005,518, round to the 10,000s place value. It's a 0, but the 5 next to it is what tells me what I'm going to round that to. And that's telling me, because it's 5 or above, that I am going to round that up. So it's going to be 1,010,000. And that's what you see written there. Next one, it's telling me to round to the 100,000s place. So I underline the 100,000s place. The one next to the right of it is telling me, you know what, I'm going to leave that alone. So it's going to be just plain old 1 million. And the last one, it's telling me to round to the 1 millions place. So I'm going to underline 1 million. The place value to the right of it is a 0. That's telling me to let it alone. So it's going to be plain old 1 million. As we look down to the next ones, we're going to be rounding again to the nearest 100,000s place. Well, if you need to count 1, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. The place value to the right of it tells me what I need to do, whether I leave the 5 a 5 or change it to a 6. And since it is 5 or more, the 7 is, I'm going to change that to 293,600,000. Next one's asking me to round it to the millions place. So I underline it. To the right, I draw the number with the arrow. Since it is 5 or more, that's telling me that I'm going to be rounding that number up. So it's 294 million. Again, paying attention that after the place value that I've rounded to, every other number becomes a 0. So since there are 9 numbers and the number it's given me to round, I need 9 numbers in my answer. And the final one is talking about to the 100 millions place, which is the 2. The 9 is telling me what I should do with that. So that's telling me that I need to round up. So the 9 is telling me to change that 2 to a 3, so it's 300 million. Read page 295 in the student reference book. Be prepared to give several reasons why it's hard to measure the areas of countries, oceans, and deserts. Do that now. Do not go any further in this video until you have that completed. So stop and pause it now. Hopefully you've noticed after reading page 295 that it is often difficult to make accurate area measurements of landforms. People do not always agree on where the borders of a country are located or even on the definition of a landform. Boundaries may change due to cultivation of the land, political events, or changes in climate. You may be surprised to learn that places where the water is always frozen, called tundras, are actually considered deserts. In this lesson, you will use division to compare areas of countries to determine relative size. Comparing country areas. So you're going to be turning to Math Journal, page 245, and you're going to be using your student reference book, pages 286 and 287. So turn to the map of South America on pages 286 and 287 of the student reference book. Pause it now if you're still trying to find it. The country in South America with the largest area is Brazil. Look at our globe in our room to compare Brazil and the United States, and notice that they have nearly the same area. The United States is about 10% larger. You're going to be comparing the areas of other countries in South America to Brazil's area. Since Brazil and the United States have nearly the same area, these comparisons will be nearly the same as if they had compared the areas of other South American countries to the area of the United States. Find Ecuador on the map. Use the following routine to compare the areas of Ecuador and Brazil. You will fill in the first line of the table on journal page 245 as you work through the steps. When you finish with doing that page, and you've gone up and corrected with your Math Journal answer key, turn then to Math Boxes, page 246. Go ahead and work through these problems. Remember again, if you need your SRB, they do show you where to help to find assistance if needed. And the final thing in 8.8 is to get the study link. Go ahead and answer all questions, do the practice, and turn it in for me to correct.